everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to do something a little bit different because obviously I'm still incapacitated from my recent car accident, so I still can't do much in the way of gaming, but I'm going to do a bit of a sneaky look, a bit of a preview look at an animated film coming out in the summer from Warner Brothers, based on the DC Comics characters. And for a lot of people like myself who are big into comics, big into DC, we have wanted a film version of this story for a long time. And many people would argue it's one of the best graphic novels ever written, basically. And the story of it and how it came to be and everything is, it doesn't need repeating, really. But obviously what I'm talking about here is the Batman Killing Joke graphic novel, written by Alan Moore, illustrated by Brian Bollard. One of the greatest stories told within the DC universe. A story that focuses on the Joker and kind of looks and explains how he came to be the character that he is, if you believe the origin story, because obviously over the years the Joker's origin has been told many times, and no one really truly knows what the Joker's backstory really is. But this story tells the tale of a man who, after experiencing one bad day, ended up becoming this psychopath that would go on to tango with Batman throughout many years of, obviously, DC stories. Now, at the time this novel came out, back in 1988, there was the comic book code in place. So the comics were sort of bound by a set of rules on what you could feature in them, the type of material that you could publish, language used, that sort of thing. And this novel basically went out and broke all those rules by showing a Joker character that wasn't the sort of goofy, comedic nincompoop that he'd been portrayed as before that, and actually showed him as being this psychopathic, maniacal, delusional nut job that is capable of committing heinous acts, and none of them obviously come any stronger than how the novel starts, when Barbara Gordon, Batgirl, is shot and paralysed by Joker in front of her own father, who is then kidnapped by the Joker and subjected to horrendous torture as the Joker attempts to force Commissioner Gordon to experience that one bad day that is capable of turning him into a character like the Joker. And obviously Batman is tasked throughout of finding and rescuing Jim Gordon and putting a stop to the Joker's plans. But also throughout this story we understand that there's a lot of similarities between Joker and Batman. Both of them started out almost from the same point. They both had one really awful, bad experience in their lives that basically put them on a path to where they are today. Okay, quite different paths. I mean, obviously Bruce Wayne went on after his parents' murder to become Batman, a vigilante trying to bring justice to the world and protect people from what happened to him. Whereas Joker took the opposite path. He turned to the dark side, as we say, and became this massive villain. And this novel, this story, is so iconic, and it's been used in media. It's influenced many other forms of the Batman world and everything. I mean, obviously, going back to the Dark Knight movie, the Christopher Nolan movie, Heath Ledger's Joker, some of that was based on this version of the Joker. And because of that, it's fantastic that we're finally getting a live action version of the story and getting to see it on screen rather than just on the pages of a novel. I mean, obviously a live action version of the film with real actors would have been fantastic, but probably a little bit hard to do. So for now we'll have to settle on the animated film, but it's going to be fantastic watching these scenes, these storybook scenes in, live motion, and hearing the great monologues that the characters come out with during the course of the novel. So I hope you're going to enjoy what comes up next. I've got a bit of a preview look of the film, and then I've got some footage where we talk to the director Sam Lee and the guys behind the 1992 animated series Batman, Superman, Batman Beyond. We've got Bruce Timm, and of course we'll have a look at the fantastic voice talent that's lent itself to this project. And hopefully once you've seen this video, you'll want to check out this movie when it comes out later this summer. So let's get on and have a look at some of the footage to begin with.
He's been in custody for 2 years.
He'll confess.
He's insane. It's a mistake to think you know what he'll do.
All these years, and I don't know who he is any more than he knows who I am.
Are you sure of that?
What do you mean?
I mean, don't underestimate him.
So again, this animated film is based on the graphic novel that came out in 1988, written by Alan Moore, illustrated by Brian Bolland, and it's a very well written, and the animation in it is brilliant. So seeing this get converted over from, the storybook pages to an actual animated movie, it's quite interesting to know the process that's gone on behind that. So what we're going to do now is we're going to have a quick look at some of the people involved in bringing this project to the screen.
All these years, and I don't know who he is any more than he knows who I am.
Are you sure of that?
What do you mean?
I mean, don't underestimate him.
Well, The Killing Joke is probably one of the most famous graphic novels from the 80s. And part of it, is the origin story of the Joker. I had read that Alan Moore had talked about this just being an Elseworld story, but because the story is so riveting and shocking, I think a lot of people took Joker's origins and sort of made it canon.
One of the main thrusts of The Killing Joke is a series of flashbacks that the Joker is remembering about how he actually became the Joker, his literal one bad day.
I find the past such a worrying, anxious place.
Well, I think, you know, the concept of characters having a bad day, obviously Bruce Wayne had a bad day early on. And the Joker, you know, he makes one bad decision in his life and it affects his entire future.
Memories can be vile, repulsive little brutes. Like children, no?
And I think Joker's point is, there's all these ideals that you uphold. There's all these things that you want. There's all these dreams that you imagine. But what happens when it doesn't work out for you? What happens if you have just one bad day?
Any person, any just regular Joe on the street, if they have one bad day, if it's bad enough, they can become as bad as the Joker. Visually, this movie was a real challenge. I mean, it's always a challenge when we're adapting something from a comic that's as famous as this one is.
It's so realistic that it would be a nightmare to animate.
There's some things that work in a comic that don't work as cinema, so you always have to kind of like, you know, try to keep the truth of it or keep the spirit of the comic. For this particular comic, Brian Bolland's artwork is so gorgeous that when you're reading the comic, you can at least kind of go, well, at least I've got pretty pictures to look at while I'm reading this horrible story. It's so beautifully drawn. It's so his draftsmanship is just spectacular. But his art style is a real huge challenge for us.
And I think we kind of came up with a sort of a hybrid style. Because the Bolland style is so realistic and so detailed, we tried to look at maybe something else that sort of felt a little bit like his. So we looked at a period in Kevin Nolan's art style. We looked at because we kind of felt like it was a stripped down version enough, but it was animatable.
It's a good approximation of it. Every now and then I'll see a drawing and go, wow, that's a really good Joker drawing. That actually kind of reminds me of Brian Bolland, or that's a really good Batman drawing. That looks like a Brian Bolland drawing. And so we kind of went from Bolland to Kevin Nolan to strip down even further to animation.
Barbara, take it easy. It's okay.
No, it's not okay.
So I think we kind of came up with a pretty good balance to try to get the Bolland style.
We thought, well, how can we make it a full-length feature? How can we expand the story without kind of just padding it? So the idea that we came up with was to create basically a prequel to the story.
It was smart to come up with the prologue idea, which I think it was really important to show Batgirl in action in this story, just to get a sense of who she was.
The audience gets to spend more time with Barbara Gordon as a person before the events of The Killing Joke. We get to like her more, we get to understand who she is as a character.
She wasn't just somebody's daughter. She was somebody who mattered to Gotham City, and Batman in particular.
Selfish, vile, piece of garbage!
The Killing Joke is definitely a much more of a pinpoint story between Batman and his most famous antagonist.
The Joker is trying to prove to Batman that there's really not that much that separates them.
I think everybody can relate to a tragedy that has happened in their life, or something in their life that happens that makes them go down a certain path. These are two characters that have gone down extreme paths. They were almost born in a similar way, yet they've chosen two very dark but different paths.
In every version of Batman that's translated to film or animation, the Joker is his constant opposite.
I've always been somebody that was really more interested in sort of the characterization and what makes this person who they are. Why do they do what they do, and what is the path that they're on? And that's why I love, the story of the heroes. That's why I love superhero stories.
Now, one of the things that is really exciting about this film is the fact that Warner Brothers and DC have not messed with any sort of formulas as far as the voice talents go. The voice actors behind the characters in this great story, they've, you know, stayed true to what many fans have known for a long time and grown up with. They've gone back to the original Batman animated series, 92 cast, and, you know, the voice talents from the more recent Arkham video games by Rocksteady. So we've got what is, in many people's eyes, probably one of the best Batman in any form of media, Kevin Conroy, doing the voice of the iconic hero. We've got Tara Strong, lending her vocal talents to the roles of Batgirl and a couple of other female characters within the film. And of course, the film would not be at all complete, or even, you know, the film it's going to be, without the greatest Joker of all time, Mark Hamill. So the fact that we've got these legendary characters voiced by their most well-known and much-loved voice actors is what's going to make this film so brilliant for people like myself, who have grown up with these characters, have read this story, have loved this story, and I've always wanted to see it on film, to be brought out of the pages of the novel. So it's fantastic that we've got the voice actors on board, and I'm going to give you a little bit of a look at them now, so you can see some of the work that went in behind the scenes.
You're not like I am, Barbara. It's still a game for you, still a thrill.
Obviously, it is a big deal to get the Batman the Animated Series cast back together again.
I'm gonna ask you politely, one last time. Where is he?
23 years later, I'm still doing the role, which is pretty amazing.
How dare you! I'm in this because of you!
Every time I see Batgirl in my schedule, I'm like, oh, that's so fun. I still get excited. I mean, I love what I do, which is why I do it.
I want him brought in, and I want it done by the book. This is a much darker story than I think the previous films showed. And in this one, Commissioner Gordon goes through quite a bit to get to the end of the story.
Finish the commission, take him where he needs to be. And please, do be careful. After all, he is topping the bill. Every time I do this part, I let the script tell me what kind of Joker he needs to be.
Mark loves the comic. He, at times when he's been tired of playing the Joker, and he said, "Oh, yeah, I'm not sure I'd ever want to play the Joker again, unless they did the Killing Joke. Then I'd come back to the Killing Joke."
If people want to see a really nasty, vile Joker, this is the one. I'm crazy for it.
I don't know where that voice comes from, deep inside Mark's head, but it's uncanny, and it to an entire generation of people, that's what the Joker sounds like.
Ah, here they are now.
It's a piece of conviction. I mean, it's a story that starts with a point. It's a story that makes its point, and it doesn't shy away from, especially at the time, the comics code limitations.
When we actually got this movie out on the floor this time and got it recorded and design work and storyboarding, it kind of dawned on me that nowadays it might not even get an R rating. We could probably do this movie straight up, be a very faithful adaptation of the comic without toning anything down. We might get a PG-13. We really don't know.
I do think that element of shock value is important when you're dealing with characters like the Joker and Batman. At that time, it was already 40 years that Batman and the Joker have been dancing. And it did show you how far it could go.
The nature of the story is so unlike a traditional Batman movie.
It's this well that people draw from, creatively.
It has defined a lot of the Batman and Joker confrontation since then.
Okay, everybody, thank you for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed this preview look of Batman the Killing Joke, and I hope you're going to check out the movie when it comes out in the summer. If you've got any questions or comments about this video or any of the material on my channel, or anything for me in particular, feel free to leave them in the comment section. But believe me, I would love to see some comments and be able to, you know, reply to people, have a bit of a conversation. So go ahead, you know. If you've liked the video, like it. If you like my channel and like my content, hit the subscribe button if you want to see more. And I will be seeing you again very shortly with some more content for my channel. So again, for now, it's goodbye, and I'll see you again soon.